Well, that's it, y'all. I'm never going to cast my super on my Warlock ever again as long as I have this exotic on. I've been talking for a long time about how I really enjoy running Devour and having builds that ramp up my damage output with firearms so that I can play like really super aggressive in PvP and sacrifice my abilities to basically be freaking Rambo on the battlefield in Destiny PvP. Well, Bungie this week dropped a hot new addition to my arsenal when they decided to make the Mantle of Battle Harmony work in PvP now. And you won't believe how insane this build is that I have now. This was like the thing that pulled it all together and completed the build to become the most lethal weapon-wielding killing machine in PvP. But before we dive into that, I gotta thank the sponsor of today's video, Keeps. So listen guys, I'm 33 now, and I'm starting to get to that age where I gotta start thinking about preventative maintenance with my body. I'm working out more frequently, having regular checkups, being smarter about my food intake, but there's another thing that I gotta be mindful of. Men in their mid-30s and above are very likely, 2 out of 3 actually, to experience some degree of hair loss. And that's what Keeps does best. They help men get ahead of the game and prevent future hair loss, like receding hairlines and hair loss on the crown of your head, for example. And the best thing about Keeps is that they let you visit a doctor online, so you never have to leave your home. And they'll prescribe a 5-star rated, FDA-approved hair loss prevention product that'll be delivered right to your door. It's that simple. So, get ahead of the game. If you're noticing that you're losing some hair, do something about it. So, for a limited time, go to keeps.com/truevanguard or click the link in the description and get 50% off your first order. Alright, so back to the Destiny talk. If you're unfamiliar with this exotic, it does 2 things basically. First of all, it makes it so every kill you get is going to give you extra super energy towards your super cooldown as long as the weapon that you got that kill with is the same element as your subclass. So, in this video, for example, you'll see me doing this with the Brass Attacks Void sidearm while I'm using the Devour tree of Nova Bomb. So, let me just say right off the rip, I like that. I like that this, as opposed to Geomags, this, you have to actually, if you want your super faster than anyone else in the lobby, right, then you got to go out there. You got to go out there. You got to start getting some kills, man. You got to go out there and slay in order to make it happen. Geomags, man, that just turns into Warlocks running into walls for free super energy, and I think that's silly. I do. I think that's a little silly. This, as opposed to it, this isn't like Scories from back in the day where people could get wicked fast supers just from camping together, all huddled up in the back of the map. Can you imagine? It still blows my mind to this day. They thought, hey, I got a great idea. Let's make it so when Guardians huddle together, let's put something in the game that makes it so that when Guardians huddle together out of combat, they'll get their supers faster. Like who? Who presented that at a meeting? And who was sitting in that meeting who was like, bro, I freaking love it. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But now, if you want your super energy with this, you got to go out there. You got to pry it out of some dead Guardians. I think that's pretty cool, right? Secondly, this exotic, it gives you a 22% damage buff on your weapon, matching your subclass element when your super is cooled down. That's huge. That's like, it's like basically getting the damage buff of an empowering Riff. That's 2 tapping with a 120 hand cannon. That's 1 tapping with a Lemon Arc, for example, right? Now, the catch, though, is twofold. In order to get that 22% damage buff, you have to activate that buff by getting a kill with your elemental weapon first while your super is cooled down. That's sort of like hitting the on switch, getting a kill with your elemental weapon while your super is cooled down. That's the on switch to activate the buff. But you only have 4 seconds to use that buff before it's gone, you know? If you get a kill before that timer expires, then it'll refresh that timer back to 4 seconds. So it's really not great for ranged combat, like sitting in the back of the map. It's really good for when you are up in the mix, man. There's Guardians coming from your left, Guardians coming from your right, up the gut, you know what I'm saying? And you got to manage multiple opponents. It's really good for offsetting situations where you're outnumbered and outgunned, because it's like getting damage stacks on, maybe like Kill Clip or, like I said, Empowering Riff for free just after you get that first kill. So you secure that first kill, it's going to help you secure the second one by giving you a 4-second massive damage buff, okay? And you can endlessly chain this or activate it at any time, so long as your super is cooled down. Now, here's the deal. Nova Bomb is terrible. It is absolute garbage. It hurts the user if you're too close, right? You can kill yourself when you cast a Nova Bomb, but you can't throw it very far away because it's freaking slow and the radius is small. People see it coming, they're like, well, better casually stroll out of the way of that Nova Bomb, and they're fine. And you don't get damage resistance, and it's a super slow animation, right? It's like a slow motion slam dunk animation. It makes you really, really easy to shoot through that animation. So it's a trade machine, really. You just end up trading a bunch with it. Most people are very, very satisfied just to stand there and let you Nova them and kill you in the process and trade with you. So for me, I'd much rather keep that bad boy pocketed so that I can increase my damage on my guns. I can hold forward with Devour, activate it, and just slay for days, right? But it's not the only damage buff that I'm getting, right? This is really what I want to get to with this. My charged magazine buff from surprise attack, I mean, that already ramps my damage up in a big way. So I'm getting that. I'm getting charged with light all the time because I got swift charge on, I got taking charge on, along with my masterworked weapons that are making orbs. So I'm getting rampage stacks. That's another damage. I'm getting rampage stacks on top of the surprise attack, on top of the Mantle of Battle Harmony buff, right? And now I'm getting this 20% buff that stacks on top of those buffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, that translates to me very frequently doing over 60 damage with brass attacks bullets. In other words, I can kill a Guardian with 1.5 bursts from a sidearm. Like, think of it, 1.5 bursts with a sidearm. That's nuts! I can shoot 4 bullets with a sidearm, miss one, and still get the kill. That's crazy, man. And before you tell me, hey, that won't happen frequently, stop and notice how many times in this video I'm pumping out numbers over 60 with this sidearm. It's absolutely bonkers. It is, it's bonkers, you guys. You get into these kill streaks where all these damage buffs are coming and going and stacking, and your health keeps regenerating on each kill, and you run through teams like they're made of paper when you get everything rolling. You know what I'm saying? It's not all the time, but when the stars align, and they frequently do, it's small maps. So you're constantly poised for success. You're positioned for success with this thing very frequently. They just crumble. It's a thing of beauty. Some days I miss Talaylock from Destiny 1. And this felt like a fair compromise, you know? In general, I'm a big fan of mechanics like this where you can get something really powerful, but you have to sacrifice something for it. In this case, your super. And you have to execute it well. It's not just a free buff. You still got to execute it well. That's, you know, for similar purposes, that's why I like surprise attack. It's a nasty damage buff, but you got to sacrifice intellect in order to get it. So when you use it, you're going to be getting your super more slowly. Ultimately, I just like when Guardians have to make choices. It's gives and takes. It's trade-offs. That's how Guardians differentiate themselves from other Guardians. The more rabbit holes we get to dive into, the more distinguished we'll all become. Destiny, to me, is at its worst when everyone is running around with the same things, right? And I don't blame players for it, but it definitely kills the Destiny vibe for me when there's 4 Felwinters and 5 120 hand cannons on the other team, game after game after game after game after game, and that bores the crap out of me. So I am all for Bungie continuing to create interesting perks, create interesting exotics and interesting weapons that will make people make hard choices about how they want to play the game and what's important to them. Like I said, it's all about trade-offs. I'm never a fan of anything that's only pros and no cons. Like, everything has to have a trade-off. It's really good at this, but you kind of have to lose out on a little bit of this if you want to run it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's when Destiny is at its best. So here's to the future of the game that we love, and I look forward to finding even more unique and interesting builds down the road. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.